D Black Anglo-Saxon. Today we're going to be talking about Druski, white conservative women, aka Erica Kirk. And before I get started, I want to let y'all know if you're here in the District of Columbia, please come out and support on April the 25th, the mayor's last cleanup that she'll be doing around the city. I'll leave the links in the actual description below. So make sure you check that out, sign up, use the Eventbrite. Then also on April the 22nd, we are going to have a Soul of the City bid launch over here in the Congress Heights area. Our headquarters is going to be over here, 2806 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. And I'll leave that information in the description as well. So make sure to check those out and be sure to support and participate in those. As those of you all in DC know, this is the mayor's last term. She will not be rerunning for election. So a lot of these will be her last outgoing events. And this is just another opportunity to participate in the community. And again, I'm over here in Ward 8, so I would much appreciate it if y'all click the Ward 8 box, So thank you. But we're just going to go ahead and jump straight into the Druski madness. Everybody knows what's happening, what's going on. And like I have told y'all, for whatever is worth, Druski is a genius. I appreciate his satirical approach. And if you hear or let this video come past your eyeballs, I would love to work with Druski on a whole series of just basically satirizing the whole society right now and everything that's happening and going on, and double down on the political nature of the work that he's doing, because I think it's needed and I think it's very important. And I think it is one of the solutions, because as y'all we always talk about the disillusionment era and what is required, and people always ask about, what's necessary for change. And disillusionment and being able to see the veil, being able to see behind the curtain of Oz and see that wizard moving those pieces and understanding that he is in a lot of ways just a man too. Um, Speaking to this Erica Kirk, white conservative woman situation, everybody's up in arms and everybody is comparing it now to blackface. And, a lot of conversations are being stirred because a lot of people are being offended. And I want to first say, before we actually watch it, that blackface is anchored in racial apartheid. Blackface is anchored in division. Parody in itself is anchored in mockery of a particular personality, a particular event, or a particular situation. It is not used to create or reinforce an apartheid scenario within a particular society. Those are the two differences. And because I've heard people ask the question, well, what if a white person did this? It's not the same thing, first off. And for me personally, I don't care. Y'all can go ahead and do it. We in the wild, wild west right now. And even though it's offensive, for me, it lets me know who you are, where you stand, and I can know how to move around those particular people. So I welcome it. Please do blackface. Please wear y'all racism on y'all sleeve, because I need to see it. I need to know how to better create this compass. So when we come down and my community actually accepts what we're seeing in America right now and understand that it never has really changed, we can move forward appropriately, because a lot of y'all been hiding. A lot of y'all been hiding behind decorum, social norms, and a lot of things. And I please do blackface if you feel the need to get back at Druski, because what he did wasn't necessarily about race in itself, even though it crossed the path of race because of who he is parodying. He's talking about an archetype, a prototype. And a lot of things that we do in this modern day current society are done based on archetypes and prototypes, because y'all insist on and believe in playing the game. but we gonna jump into the video, chop it up, and y'all gonna let me know what y'all think about this tomfoolery that we got going on over here. So here is Druski. We got you, and here we go. We gonna get into this.
War is raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
how about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart. That is the
So before we go ahead and let that just slide by, I want everybody to just notice the symbolism that he's using, because everything is intentional that he's doing, because Erica Kirk is plugged in, whether y'all want to believe it or not.
In what ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible.
So I want to leave it right there first, because he touched on the Bible piece, and then you see him do the little Baphomet symbol. And we all know right now that, based on the Epstein files, based on the E files, however you want to say it, because I know you can't even use that terminology here anymore on these platforms without being censored because of the nature of it. But for what it's worth, we have to understand that how all of these things have transpired, and you see him use that symbolism and attach it to the Bible, and then also move in between going to get matcha and doing all of these different things to basically highlight illogical inconsistencies, right? And this cognitive dissonance that exists within the community of conservatives in general, and especially conservative women, because you see it a lot within how they talk about stuff like feminism, right? Where you'll have people talking about the patriarchy, you'll have them have these stances and positions about, on the other end, women empowerment, etc. And then at the same time, when we see voter exit polls in terms of seeing a, Donald Trump, who is the basically personification of what you would call a chauvinistic person, or a machizo, all of these different stereotypes. He is that, but we continuously see them fold back into white patriarchy every single time, because I would argue that there is no black patriarchy, and there never has been, because the black community has for a long part been interdependent. But what Druski is doing here is highlighting those ideological frameworks and how they are inconsistent, because you're talking about the Holy Trinity, you're talking about the Bible, and then you're throwing up the Baphomet symbol. You're at this party, you turning up in these political forums, and then you also at the same time going out to get matcha. And the critique is that Druski shouldn't have done this because she is in a grieving process, or quote unquote, the conservative white woman is in a grieving process, but at the same time does not line up typically with how a normal person would grieve, in terms of the person who she with has passed along, and then within a week's time you take the helm and take the seat of his institution, and now you have been ushered into political not dominance, but you have more political access. She was just named, I forgot the title that she received from Trump, but she has more access than she previously did. And the relationship with her, Kirk, and the Turning Point USA situation all kind of culminates around this ideological inconsistency and this cognitive dissonance in terms of how she's operating versus what she's saying and versus what she's articulating, and based on the things that are coming out, which I'm not going to speak to here today, don't necessarily add up with the person that she has said that she is. And so that's the first part of that, like, because a lot of this stuff is loaded. He's dropping stuff in clips, and it's very loaded in terms of the messaging, the frameworks, and the overall intentionality of the point that he's trying to get across, right? Because everybody loves these quick snapshots, and I talk about these quick sound bites all of the time. And it really got to stick. It really got to stick, because he's basically putting people in a position where they should be reflective, but instead they're offended because it is truth. Because I wouldn't even classify it as parody. I would classify it as adjacent to reality and call it actuality, because people are operating in absurdities. We are living in one giant absurdity right now, which is why I would, again, love to work with a Druski, because I don't necessarily have that level of creativity in terms of the skits and all of that different type of stuff. But getting a animationist, a cartoonist, and putting that together, man, look, I know for a fact we would make something great for the times. And you talking about mad, man, big mad, big mad. But here we go.
Sweet cream foam chai ice matcha. And Bella will have all organic pup cup.
Pup cup.
Yes, everything organic.
Four, three, 7. Oh, Hannah, you good? 4, 3, 2. Hold your chest lifted. We're gonna lift.
We have to protect all men in America, especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this country. America is built on their backs. Yes, because they are the ones who mattered most.
So yeah, man, then you have it again. Like I said, he drops everything in these short formats, and you hear it. And I kind of touched on it when I talk about them converging back into quote unquote white patriarchy at the same time when he is bringing up the discussion around, white boys, white men being the ones that they actually truly care about, because that's the reality of the situation. The reality that we live in is that we understand as Americans that that is the dominant group in terms of where resources are pushed to, where resources are prioritized to, etc. Because that's the structure, that's the overall ecosystem, and that's the incentives, right? Because also what it's pointing out and touching on is that these are things that even if she don't necessarily want to do to play the game, she has to do. And that's where we find ourselves at. And you make these comments, you make these statements, because to me, I thought he was making that part up. But then I saw a video of it, and then I thought it was fake because somebody made it with AI, and come to find out she actually said that. And so when you look at this and when you actually go into this conversation, I would only say and add to that, there should probably be a parody for liberal white women as well. because there will be some similarities in that, but there are some differences that we should note that also operate against the overall collective of us. And when I say us, I'm talking about Negroes, right? But let me know what y'all think about the Druski parody. Was it off base? Was he out of line? Do you think that, he shouldn't be doing whiteface because of blackface? I want to know how y'all feel about it. Me personally, like I said, I think it's spot on. I think that people need to reflect in these moments, whether it's the church and all of these people that he satirizing. They need to actually think about why these things touch home and touch base with a lot of different people and a lot of different groups. But y'all be safe, enjoy, and I'm gonna catch y'all on another one.